What's going on, everyone? This is Talks with Kenny. Here today, we're reacting to this, the pregame clips, the audacity of this redheaded feminist. My first thoughts are that it always seems like feminists, the modern day feminists at least, seem to always trying to downplay the importance of fatherhood. And I never get this. Like, you want a kid to grow up in a statistically disadvantaged compared to someone else because what? You don't like men? Let's get into this video.
I will tell you, as a father, I know from raising my son that he needs both me and his mother in his life. Mm-hmm. So when someone who hasn't had children is telling me, "Oh no, kids don't need both their parents," I find it laughable because I tell you something. Most parents will tell you that they know that their child needs both parents in their life. For you to say something like that makes no sense to me as a parent. It doesn't make any sense.
I have kids in my family that were raised single parents and whatever, or some kids in care and stuff like that. I feel like it's laughable that you just said, "Oh, my life is this, so you're wrong."
My thing is, she's making a similar argument, right? He's saying, "Hey, from my point of view, parents agree that most parents agree that the kid needs both parents in their life, and you, single woman, that you just observe from the outside, you only see the good or whatever people present to you in public, but you don't see in the private what's going on, the struggles they go through, the late nights, trying to organize and trying to get someone else to watch the kid because you don't have access to the other parent as consistently as if you guys were still together." And she used I feel like. I never like when people say "I feel like," because all you arguing is from a possibility point of view, and I'm more practical, so I like probability. Like, what's the probability? If you were giving advice, would you recommend someone to be a single mother intentionally? Yes or no? And that's what we're saying. Is like, this is not the optimal solution or the optimal environment that you want to place a child at, because statistically, single motherhood, or not even, let's say even take out the single motherhood, single parenting opens up your kids to an array of problems that are not foreseen. More likely to be in crime, less likely to graduate from school, more likely to be pregnant, or your child to be pregnant at a younger age. Like, you can't like just dismiss that argument he's making, because the probabilities are high that people who grow up in this environment tend to not have the best outcomes in life. That's all he's trying to say. All you have to do is look out in reality and see, oh, here's evidence of what he's saying being true. The fathers are needed in the household.
No, it's not. That's not what he's saying. He's saying my life. He's saying my life is this, and stats back it up.
It's not about me. What about statistics? It's about what the results are at the end of the day.
Because the way you're going, it's just like, I believe what I believe, regardless of any stats. So you could see whatever stat, and you're still going to think what you think.
Yeah, because I think you can't generalize anything in the world. I don't think anything can be generalized.
You have to generalize, like unless you're a therapist giving specific advice, like you have to generalize.
I think people are too individual to even.
You're saying you can't generalize.
You can't say women are this. You can't say so and so is out.
You can't say children.
Well, I would agree with her if I haven't seen cases of generalization on her side, right? Feminist side, right? Because feminists will make the generalization that all men benefited from patriarchy, right? And if you ask for evidence of that, they can't provide it to you, because all they can go is, oh, historically men were able to do this. And then I was like, okay, if you take the gender out, would those people still be in those same positions of power? Most of them might say yes, because there's other factors that come into play, not just because they happen to be men that they end up being these positions of power, right? Or when feminists go on these crusades, or when they have "men are trash" hashtags, right? You're generalizing there too. But no, I is this thing, like I always say, like people who just trying to push an agenda, they pick and choose their arguments. So when they know that, oh, damn, the statistics don't back up what I'm saying here. Oh, you can't generalize. I believe everyone's too individual for that. No, is this almost quasi narcissism that you think you're so special that things that apply in general don't apply to you? This is all it comes across to me. But let's get back into it.
For milk. You can't say, you can't say anything. What do you mean you can't generalize?
I just feel like I don't say anything. I don't say women are this or dogs are that or whatever is this. I just say that thing there is this and that's it. And I don't generalize.
Do dogs bark?
Some don't. My dog never. Some don't.
So now, so now you would just argue just to be right in a conversation because you know dogs bark. But for you to say, oh, some don't, it's like that's what dogs do.
Then you can't argue anything.
You can't argue anything.
Because if you can't generalize at all, then you can't argue anything.
Yeah, there are always exceptions.
You can't. Do you know what I mean? I'll take that back, and I will just say you can't generalize men and women and families.
I also think there's a difference between ideal and realism, like the reality of people's situation.
Exactly.
I think a lot of women would love to be married, but they're realistically.
But they made poor choices to not get there.
Maybe they did get married, and maybe it was a bad time. Mm-hmm. You know, you never know the situation, but. Being a single mom is a lot of work, especially if you have like 3 kids.
Yeah, so
you've got to pay for them.
You don't end up as a single mom by accident.
So I'm saying don't pick it. So don't pick it. That's a choice.
Yeah, you don't end up as a single mom by accident.
And you choose who you sleep with.
I don't know. I think.
Yep, I agree with. I think her name is Pearly. I think so. I think because I looked at her channel, it says JustPearlyThings, so I'm guessing her name is Pearl. But I agree with her. Like, people has to be accountable for their part that play in any situation they're given. I don't care how bad the person was. In my opinion, you were 50% responsible. Like, you chose him, you gave him the opportunity to do this, or you didn't do the work intended to vet somebody. This is why I forgot his name. He passed away recently, Kevin Samuels. I agree with his message. His message is more of a conservative message. Hey, marry before you carry. Make sure someone's committed to you before you give them kids, because from that perspective, the greatest gift a woman can give a man is to have his kids. And there's a saying also, most women don't do better than the men they have kids with. So that means if you had a kid by a guy who ain't crap, then it's likely that you will never find someone better than him. You're more likely to not find someone of the same quality or worse than whoever you had kids with. So this is the message that women just need more accountability. And feminists, I don't know what it is, but whenever you try to hold women accountable for something, feminists always give an excuse why that is, or try to blame or puck the problem to, it was the other person. Eventually, if you go through 11 dates and you keep saying all 11 dates were trash, more likely than not, it was you. You played some part in how they reacted off of you. I'm just saying, you have to you can't look at things you can't control. You have to look at things you can control and improve from there. You can't just be like, it was because my baby daddy is not this. Okay, but what did you do to allow him to have a factor in your life to begin with? Maybe you were dating without a purpose. That could be a part too, because if you're dating somebody and you don't have a purpose for why you date, you'll just date anything that you find physically attractive regardless of their character.
Well, maybe if that husband was better, she wouldn't have left.
Oh, is this?
But why is it? Maybe if she was better, she wouldn't have left.
I think if they both worked on it, then I think we can both agree people should work on their relationships.
I like how there's always this precursor, the men were what? Maybe if the man was a better husband, that she would have stayed. Why you couldn't just stay and work it out together? There's never that solution. It's always, and you never hear women when it's about relationship. They never be like, hey, I believe the woman should have addressed problems in their relationship before they divorce. You don't hear advice like that. You don't think women commenting with each other saying, hey, I think we need to fix this. You need to fix this with your husband before you even think about divorcing him. It's just whatever's easiest for her to do. He's not doing what you want, divorce him. But then these are the same women that'll be like, a relationship is about compromise. But you don't ever hear them telling the woman to compromise something. That's something I observe. Continue.
Before calling it quits. But there's reality. There's a reality and ideal.
Listen, I think women should be more discerning when deciding which men they should get involved in.
But women have only recently earned, over the last 20, 30 years, right? Which isn't a long time period in the grand scheme of things, especially generational. It's 2 generations.
Fair enough.
It's 2 generations.
The
That's
consequences
it.
will still be there.
Yeah. It's 2 generations.
What does that have to do with me today? I'm a woman. What does it have to do with me today?
Women had to rely on men for, like you said, financial support to be able to work, to be able to live, essentially. And as we've come out of that, yes, it's been 40, 50 years, right? As we've come, probably a bit longer. No, about 50, 60 years to say that. And they had to rely on settling to be able to get a man to be able to support them. So we are still shifting out of that mindset where you settle for something that maybe isn't that great because you have to be supported. You have to have this nuclear family situation. I grew up with two parents in the house. I grew up with a relative, two parents who were incredibly functioning society, but I was suicidal by the time I was 12. So having two parents doesn't blanketly assume that you're going to be happy. Like those statistics.
The point is, we're not trying to say it's the perfect situation, but we're trying to say that it's the best situation that you can have a child in. Now, probability will say who's going to have the better outcome, a two-parent household or a kid coming from a single-parent household. Two parents. If you had to put money on it, if you're just going to say, hey, your prediction has to be right or you're dead, you're going to pick the two parents with no hey, the kid's going to have a better outcome.
That you read off, it's not necessarily because the kid had a single mother. There's so many different systemic issues that go into that. Poverty, where you live, like different aspects.
Poverty and where you live, quick, I know I keep pausing it. Poverty where you live, who can afford a better, who's going to be poor? Single, one income or two? It's hard for one person to make the money of two people. Coming from a nuclear family, you won't be in those poor neighborhoods. You won't be exposed to those other factors that she's trying to contribute to, being like, oh, it doesn't matter where you live. Yes, two parents households can also be poverty, poor, or whatever. But one thing the kid does have is time. When one parent's working, the other one's watching the kid. So that way you can still put your values, instill values into your kid. But when you're growing up in a single parent household, that one parent has to work. So there's no one guiding the kid and making sure the kid's not straying off or being influenced by bad influences in the environment he's in. Because my view, parents are the guardrails. They're the one who keeps you from going too far off the rails where you can set yourself up for a bad future. That's the parent's job. And it's easier to do that job when you have both parents than one. That's all I'm saying.
It's not just about having a single mother.
I've got a question for you, yes. all the girls on the panel. So I learned this a couple of weeks ago that women are very picky when it comes to men. My question is, if you were given the choice, would you marry a guy you're not attracted to knowing that he's going to stay in the relationship? And Pearl, feel free to rephrase my question if you feel I'm saying it wrong. Or, so would you marry a guy that you're not attracted to but you know he's going to stay there, he's going to provide and everything? Or would you marry the guy that's cheated multiple times but you are madly in love with him? Who would you be with?
That's a bound if you're cheating.
I'll go first.
How do you...
Personally, I would say neither, and because I've been in both of those situations where I've had someone who would be a perfect option, but I wasn't attracted to them, and I've had someone that I've been madly in love with who fucked around with me, essentially. I've been in both those situations, and I think the issue is people have to think they have to settle for those situations.
So which one?
Neither. Sorry, I don't know if it's a cop-out, but I wouldn't choose either. I'm not doing it. I would rather be on my own.
All right,
if those are my two options.
If you could give me one, life on the line, one.
I would choose the one I'm not attracted to.
Cool.
Me too.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I also have to say neither. I'm not somebody who's ever necessarily thought...
If your life is on the line, if your life is on the line, pick one.
I'd rather die.
Wow.
I think that's where
honestly, the way you guys are answering, that's why 50% of women over 30 are single and childless.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they want to be. It's a decision.
It's not necessarily because they're also the least happy group when they hit 45 or 50.
Because it's not a long-term solution because I think what she said was true about the half of women over a certain age, they start becoming unhappy because women rely heavily. Women get their happiness from social interaction, right? And as you get older, your social circle or your ability to gain a social circle is less likely to happen because you have less opportunity for that to happen. So usually family becomes a bigger part of your social interactions. And statistically, if you're single and you have no kids, you miss out on that social interaction as you get older because, it's rare. You may have some longtime friends, but end of the day, it won't be as frequent because everyone's going to be making their own lives, having their own things they're doing. There's not enough time to keep socializing with people unless you go around with other single women. And there's a trend I've been noticing that a lot of single women are starting to move in with each other. I forgot what it's called. If you guys know what I'm trying to hint at, let me know in the comment section exactly that. I forgot. It was a story I seen. But to continue my point, you seen what they pick is, hey, I want short-term fun over long-term success, right? They rather pick superficial stuff over character stuff. If you know a guy, he's gonna be the best possible father for you, but you're not physically attracted to him. And I understand attraction plays a part into like anything you do, but these people are talking as if I'm perfect and I deserve nothing less but perfect. These women, they're not humble, because if you're humble, you realize, hey, I have flaws. Someone has to settle for me too. Like, I'm not the perfect person, but these people are demanding, oh, I want a perfect person. But I'm like, yo, you're a flawed human being, just like the rest of us. You're not going to find perfect. And this is why most women stay single, because they think there's someone perfect out there. They think they can create men out of nothing. They think they're God and like, I create my perfect man, I'm going to marry him. No, that's not how the world works. You find the most compatible person for you that's available with all the information you have. You check if they have the same values as you, and you make it work. You go off from there. This is why they say having anything worthwhile takes work. I don't believe in soulmates. I believe your soulmate, you become a soulmate. You not just are a soulmate. But to sit here and demand that, oh, I had both. Because life is trade-offs. But I guess women don't want to hear that.
Correct.
Because like the party runs out.
Yeah,
someday no one's lining up to date you at a certain age.
Yeah. And it's not really a decision, because the guys are the ones who control who gets relationships. I mean, from what I can see, it seems like the crux is you need to understand that just because you don't like your options doesn't mean you should gaslight yourself into believing you don't have any. You know, like
yeah, and your options are just that's your level. So like if you don't like the guys you can date, then like you should probably try to improve yourself.
But yeah, and I completely agree with that. I believe you should work onto yourself until you're ready to be in a relationship that you want. And that's why I would rather be alone until I'm ready for a relationship that's going to be reciprocal in all ways. And I think that's the mindset. It shouldn't be about whether people are going to settle for a relationship or anything like this. People should be open to working on themselves, be open to like not being judgmental and being it's about love.
Do you think at a certain age though, it's kind of just like, okay, like let's say 32. You only really have till 35 if you want to have kids, and you don't have, because geriatric pregnancy is like $20,000 a year. So the average person can't afford that. If you want a family and you want kids, do you think there's a certain age where you kind of look around and be like, you know what? I don't think my options are going to get better than that.
Before I continue, there was a point I wanted to make, that this is the blind spot that I believe feminism has, is that they don't recognize that women have a clock, like she phrased it, that 35, if you want family and kids, that you have to make a decision before then, right? Especially you have to get to know somebody, because you don't want to rush into something, right? Because that's the main claim these feminists always argue. I just don't want to date anybody, right? So in my opinion, okay, if you don't want to date anybody and you want time to get to know them, college is your best chance of finding a quality mate before you get into your career. So that way you can have both your career and a family. But if you want family, you have to make women have to make a decision a lot sooner than men. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. I didn't make the rules. I'm just reporting them. Because 35, you become high risk. And then if you want kids, surrogacy, very expensive. So that means whatever career you're choosing, make sure it's a high earning career.
That's because I'm just getting older.
I think yes and no.
Because I a lot of times, like when we say settle, like maybe he's settling for her. Like, how can we just say women are settling when that's your level? I think that's like saying a guy saying, oh, I didn't get a Victoria's Secret model, so I settled.
Yeah.
I think settling. Okay, but I think settling for appearance is different in terms of settling for the way someone behaves. Yeah. So the way someone treats you. If you're settling for someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated, who isn't present, who doesn't show up, or treats you the way you want to be treated, then you're settling for yourself.
My only argument against that is, what do you prioritize? Because like I said, nobody's perfect here. We all are flawed. There's certain things that I do well, but there's certain things I do work like bad at. And you have to take the trade-off. Okay, is he worth this is what he does good and this is what he does bad. Is he worth it? And it's all about you personally, what you prioritize. Do you prioritize character or do you prioritize physical attractiveness?
And I think the idea is that we have limited options, which we don't.
So if women are also attracted to different things.
Yeah. So if women hate men that don't treat them right, then why do we all seem to date them?
Correct.
Trauma, generational trauma, a whole bunch of stuff. So many different things. It's not an excuse. It's genuinely what's going on.
Women are attracted to bad boys.
Yeah.
Right?
I like a good boy.
At a certain age.
Your action's not showing that. Because if you like good boys, there's a saying. Nice guys finish last. It's a saying for a reason. That there's a pattern that society noticed with women, and we're just calling it out, right? And you can say, I like good boys, but what your actions show? When the good boys come, do you just dismiss them like, oh, he's boring, oh, he's this, oh, he's that? complain about them, use and abuse them. Like, nice guys get the worst treatment out of any kind of man. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care. Y'all capping if you come in the comment section saying, oh, not me. Oh, no, you lying. There's a nice guy in there that you just dismiss. You use and abuse. You take his money. You use him for dates and all that stuff. And you wouldn't give him a care in the world. But the guy that treat you like nothing, act like you don't exist, you giving all your attention to them. And it's just rewarding bad behavior. I'm sorry. Because nowadays, because you feminists remove the patriarchy or whatever, because back then fathers used to be in charge of who has access to his daughter. And he used to vet based on character. Okay, would this man be able to provide for my daughter? Would this man be able to take care of my daughter? Would this guy be able to treat my daughter well and respect my daughter? Now that logical parameters out of the way, women get to choose who they date. So the responsibility that, hey, this is what you're picking. Hey, this is what you're incentivizing out in the market, because men only go off of what works. We're the pursuers, and we see that, hey, if we pursue women in this fashion, we get limited results. But if I pursue her in this way, I get better results. You can't fault the man for going with what works, because that's what you're putting out there that works. I'm just saying.
Generally, women are attracted to bad boys. So women see red flags in men. They see a certain type of man. Generally, we know it's not all women, yeah, and they still go for that type of man.
Do you know about attachment theory by any chance?
Go on.
How we pursue relationships that remind us of our earliest relationships.
It's like anxious attachment,
that sort of thing, right? So especially in terms of like anxious attachment and that sort of thing, you tend to seek relationships where even if someone's treating you negatively, you think you're the problem. So you do anything you can to change yourself to match that behavior, and that's why women stay in relationships, because they have this self-deprecating view of themselves.
So are they broken?
Insecurity. I wouldn't say.
But I'm gonna push back just a little bit on that, because look at the things that the more like what feminists put out there and project as positive. Slut walks, like treat yourself like pretty much like what men will joke around and say, oh, these women are cum buckets, right? That's how you're treating yourself. You're treating yourself like, oh, like anyone can have you, anyone can have their way with you. You sleeping around with all these men, right? That's not someone who cherishes their body, because like from a biblical sense, your body is your temple. And in my view, if you really care about your body and your self-esteem that much, you'll be very selective of who have access to it or not. If you care about yourself, you restrict who has an effect on your life or not. If you realize someone's negative and all they bring is negative problems to your life, you will vet them out of your life, right? And you call that self-care. But how is it self-care to also open yourself up to all these men having all these partners indiscriminately? This very stuff you glamorizing that women should do, I perceive it as, yeah, you're not having no respect for yourself. You're not respecting yourself because you're sexually open, you're sexually free. Fine. But you also have to take the consequences that come with doing that. That, hey, you might have you're more likely to have a traumatic experience compared to a woman that was more conservative of who she picked to have sex with. That's what I'm saying. So it seems like you're complaining about the very lifestyle that you're trying to project as positive for women. That's all I'm saying. Because when she was talking about the attachment style and all that, I said, what happens if you have sex with a dude that you really like how he was in bed, but he just saw it as, this is a one-night thing. Now you're attached to men like that, and you start picking men of the same patterns, and then you also complain that, men are trash and men don't date women seriously, men just use women for sex. Come on. But what you're pushing opens you up for that trauma. I'm just saying.
Say broken. I don't like the word broken.
Well, because that's what the show was about. Broken.
Unhealed. I would say unhealed. No, but I would make that point. I don't think society is broken. I think unhealed and broken are very different things. I think
so
very different things.
But you don't think if you keep dating bad partner after bad partner, like maybe it's you. Maybe
do you know how deep the trauma goes for someone to constantly put themselves in that situation where they constantly make the wrong choice?
Yeah, but after a while.
So deep, and that can be so subconscious. It's so difficult to consciously bring to mind if you don't have the right people talking to you about it, the right therapy.
Or you could just make better.
It's not an excuse. Even if it is an excuse, it's a genuine excuse that people deal with. People
not really.
Like, at the end of the day, you have to take
I have an anxious attachment style, but I'm not going to blame that on my poor choices. Like, I'm just gonna say that was a poor choice, and I'm gonna learn from it. I'm not gonna say, that's
blame it on your childhood.
But no. I mean, I could do a whole sob story about how I had 10 siblings.
It's not a sob story. You can acknowledge the poor choice and still see that you can make better. But some people just can't see that.
Or you could just say, this is a poor choice. This is on me. This is my fault. I'm gonna move on.
Some people don't have the ability to be able to do that.
Everyone has the ability.
You make that assumption.
It's a choice.
It's not. It's not.
Choice.
Some things are so deeply. I'm going to say yes, but I don't like the word broken. I say unhealed.
I also think when you get to an
broken
adult,
women, broken society.
But it's not just broken women. It's broken men. It's broken people.
No, but
it's not just broken women.
Okay, so you're talking about anxious attachment styles.
Yeah.
We're talking about women who choose men.
Yeah.
Right. When women choose men, women have babies by these men. Right.
Sometimes.
So like, well.
You're rewarding bad behavior.
Generally, women are having babies, right? So if they're choosing these men, having babies by these men, what are these children going to be? That's what I said. What are these children going to be like? Because the next generation that is going to be raised in this society, the next generation that matters in the society is the children, okay? And so, like I said, if the women are broken, you are going to raise a broken society.
The men are involved in that too.
Yeah.
Oh, but hang on. But you were telling me that it's okay to raise a child without a man.
Yeah.
So that you're saying, oh, men are involved, but you don't want the man involved.
No, I'm not saying that's a blanket.
So then what are we doing here? What are we doing? Are we raising nuclear families, or are we doing the whole single mother thing? Are we being broken? Are we raising broken children? What are we doing?
I don't understand how women are broken because they choose bad men, so that means broken society. But bad men, they're just being chose. The bad men are there. That's the subject.
But bad men are broken too.
I think I'm done watching the rest of this video, but towards the end, shout out to that black father. He know what his stuff. He know what he was talking about, because you glamorizing like a lot, like Black Lives Matter is a prime example of this. They want to destroy the nuclear family. That used to be part of their mission statement, right? These people who are like pro-feminist, pro-whatever, pro-progressive, they have something against the nuclear family, right? He made a case that, hey, broken women create broken societies, and they want to go, oh no, it's broken men that do that. But at the end of the day, he just pointed out, women, you select the men you have babies by, right? Now you can try to punt the responsibility to, oh, it's because of this, oh, because of that. But at the end of the day, you made the choice. Statistically, you're opening up your kid to be in having a bad outcome, and then you want to blame these bad outcomes on men when a divorce happens. Who gets custody of the kid most of the time? The woman. I'm just saying. But hey, let me guys know what you think of this video. If you want me to react more to like, I guess as you consider this dating advice, dating debate type stuff, let me know in the comment section below. But hope to see you guys again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next.